I've been playing Marvel's Midnight Suns a whole bunch. Jada, how about you?
I've also been playing Marvel's Midnight Suns.
Wowzers, what a treat. I sure do enjoy that game a whole bunch. But no, seriously, I'm actually having a total blast with this. Full disclosure, I was not expecting to enjoy this game. I like XCOM. I like what Firaxis did with that. The second they were like, you use cards to do the battling, I was like, I hate cards. I hate deck building. I just think it's like a weird UI choice. I don't enjoy it one bit. I am completely in love with this game. In spite of that, to the point that I'm just overlooking that entirely. It is the filler issue comic stuff that I've always wanted in a game. Like it is like when the X-Men play basketball, it's that. Like you come back from missions and you're like, oh, you want to go do a book club with Blade? I'm like, yes. You want to go hang out in your bathing suit with Magic? Absolutely. Do you want to go in a cave and work on a car? Sure, I guess. Like it's just it's what they do in their spare time, and like the combat, we'll come back to that. But yeah, Jada.
I love meditating and just meditating with Blade. Just going out, let's go meditate, Blade. Let's go just have a good time. It's a great and I know some people will be kind of dragged down by that Abbey, the stuff at the Abbey, which is kind of that hub world between the missions. But like, I feel like if you're not, I feel like that section is designed mostly for those people, for people like me and Max that really want to just like enjoy time with our favorite Marvel characters and just really get to know them and learn a bit of their storyline from this comic line. And if you don't like that stuff, you don't have to do it. It's purely optional. You can skip it all and just go straight into the missions. Some things you have to like go talk to somebody and do a few things here and there, but like they keep those pretty far and few between.
So for context, to sort of back this up, if you haven't been sort of clocking this game, there's the sort of core gameplay mechanic where you're using cards to do sort of turn-based tactical combat. It's XCOM-esque. But I think the better comparison, I've seen people compare it to Fire Emblem a lot, which I haven't actually played, but that seems more astute, especially with the sort of social relationship management stuff. It's also definitely got some Persona in there.
Yes.
Like the whole thing where you're like, oh, you have an evening to yourself. Do you want to go hang out with this character or this character? And what the time you spend with them is not just, for like weird fan servicey stuff. It's also, it affects their stats. Like it'll make them better in battle. It'll make you learn new abilities and stuff. And there's this wonderful kind of, push and pull of, you always have like a little bit of buyer's remorse because you have your time is finite and your choices are finite, and you have to kind of like pick who you want to be best pals with because you can't necessarily be best friends with everybody.
Who did you pick?
I'm pretty tight with Blade. I'm gonna be honest.
Sweet,
Got off
Blade's
on the wrong
great.
foot. He said, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but he has like a huge crush on Captain Marvel. And I think like at one point, I'm like, ooh, you like her. And it was just like -3 friendship. And I was like, oh no, Blade is mad at me. And it's like, the writing in this is so funny. And I know that people who want like hardcore, grimdark, whatever, they might hate it. And there's definitely some like little cringy stuff here and there, but it is just, it has such a good sense of humor, and the characters feel just like so earnest, and it feels like just like it's the thing that I've always loved about Marvel Comics. Like at the end of the day, I don't really care about the fights that much. I don't care about the saving the world. That is obviously kind of a thing that these characters all do. They all have
their
cool
day job.
powers. Yeah,
That's their day job.
I just love the relationship after the fact. Like I've always loved all that kind of Xavier's Mansion stuff, where it's just like, I don't know, like the weird love triangle with Wolverine and Cyclops and Jean Grey, or like just the fact that they have like downtime, but they all hang out in like a weird place. Like there's just something funny about that to me.
Let me ask you something. So you don't like historically like card games. I've always kind of been the same way. You and I have always bonded over that. But like you like it here. What is it doing here that's making it work for you specifically?
So it's a placeholder, as far as I can tell. It's like a placeholder for actions.
Okay.
And how it does is, you get it's.
So you like with the cards, like you can build a deck. Each character has a deck of 8 cards, I believe, and each deck has to have at least 1 attack, 1 defense, and 1 heroic, and then you can mix and match the rest of the cards however you want. I could be wrong on those specifics, so don't at me in the comments. But you basically can kind of configure and build your characters how you want, and as you finish missions, you'll get these gamma coils, and they'll give you different cards, and you can mix and match to kind of build out your card. So like sometimes you may feel like, oh, I really need to use like I know that was a big thing people were worried about, was the randomness of a card game. It really doesn't have that when you only have 24 cards, and most turns you have anywhere from 6 to 8 cards in your hand.
Okay, that's
and
awesome.
there's so many cards that allow you to draw another card. So like with Captain Marvel, if you can get a knockout with her like uppercut or whatever, you draw a card.
It's got some really good kind of hooks in there. The thing that randomness is the key word.
Yes.
I think that if you look at it like, oh, this is a party-based RPG where you are playing as a group of characters, but the attacks you have on hand, or the abilities you have on hand, are randomized to a certain degree, and you control like the stuff that's in the pool and what you can possibly get. So there's a level of sort of like character customization and tailoring your kind of your toolkit, but there's like a level of unpredictability to it, which is actually really fun. And I mean, the way you level up an ability is if you have duplicates of a card, you like fuse them together pretty much. And again, it feels like a very weird, I don't know. It feels gimmicky, it feels like a kind of divisive choice. Like everyone's playing Marvel Snap right now, which it doesn't appeal to me one bit, because I have a hard time verbalizing this, but I think the thing that bugs me about card games, specifically video card games, is that I feel like cards are, when you're playing them in real life, they're like symbolic of cool stuff happening. And you, like, a good game will translate that into systems that don't have any cards. Like they take all the mechanics of the card game and implement them in a way that it's entirely suspension of disbelief. Yeah. Like obviously you're going to have menus and stuff in a video game. There's going to be things where it reminds you it's a video game. But the second you have cards in there, it's like, this is a video game with one foot in reality with cards, and I don't know.
One small tangent. Did you ever play Aya Judgment on the PS3? So Aya Judgment was this like, not flagship, but it was like this Sony game, and basically you bought physical cards, and you using the iToy camera, it would be on a mat, and you would play the cards down, and it would bring the cards to life in the game, and they would battle each other in the game. Yeah. And it played very similar to like a triple triad from like Final Fantasy. I loved it. I still have my cards and everything to this day. I only got to play with like 2 other people because nobody else bought the game in my neighborhood, but whatever.
See, that's a cool gimmick in the sense that you're like, I don't know, the cards do something magic in the game. They're a part of the interface, not a part of like the physical interface, not so much the
UI.
Yeah, the
UX.
UI. Yeah. I don't know. Again, it's a weird thing but we're getting in the weeds here.
Yeah.
The point is, I love Midnight Suns. If you're remotely like me, or you're like, oh, tactical, whatever, I don't care, or cards, I hate those. Give it a shot. Also, it's not great looking.
It's kind of uncanny valley.
It's got some very rough edges.
Yeah.
I really wish they'd gone with a full cell shading thing. Like I think they could have done it some huge favors here. But
I'm surprised they didn't, honestly.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think I've always been into card battlers, so I'm opposite you guys. So like, this is 100% up my jam. I love being able to just like strategize and like, okay, if I combine Magic and Spider-Man, or Magic and Ghost Rider, I can knock everybody into these hell mouths in the ground that I created and just like one shot everybody. That's great. Really cool.
I'm a few hours into this game, and I guess I'm bonding with Brian and Max as well. Like I can't stand games that have that card mechanic. But to kind of echo everything that Max said, like I'm there for everything outside of the combat. But now I'm gonna be quite honest. If I were just a regular consumer, I probably would wait for this one. Just because like the combat for me is it's not where it's at. I just can't get into it.
So
that made me just kind of turn it off at certain points. So I'm like, I can't. It's too slow for me.
So I will agree. I will agree on that point. If you've never played a Fireaxis game, yes, maybe it might be a wait for it to go on sale for you to try it out. Yeah. But if you've played a Fireaxis game, like, it is excellent for what you want out of like an XCOM game. It is amazing for that. They reward you for not getting getting KO'd. So like it kind of brings in that permadeath kind of idea to it without actually permadeath killing Iron Man or somebody.
I'm like historically not a strategy person. I'm kind of a friggin' idiot, and when XCOM came around, I was like, oh, I don't know about this, and like my producer for the Destructoid show at the time was like, no dude, XCOM kicks ass, let's push this, and he totally like pressured me into playing it, checking it out, and it totally got its hooks in me, and I completely fell in love with that game.
I was like that with Advance Wars. It was the first time I was ever like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah, like to be honest, like I can't really think of a Fireaxis game that hasn't done well. That hasn't been like they have a very specific audience, kind of like a FromSoft. They have that very specific audience that they develop their games for, and they create kick-ass fucking games for them. And
I think it's more so just me thinking that because this is a superhero game, and so it's having that I want to be able to punch the person as Spider-Man. I want to be able to I think that's the feeling that
I
that
completely get that.
Did you play Ultimate Alliance?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's I would love something like that, but with the deeper systems and the deeper lore and stories that this game has.
Go play Avengers, Brian.
I'm not going to do that. Yeah, that time has come and gone, my friend.
Yeah, to reiterate that, I don't like the card side of it, but I completely overlooked it because the combat is really good in this. I genuinely adore this. But
is there a demo for this game? Because there should be.
I really wish there was.
There might be a trial on the PS Plus, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, don't quote us on that.
I chucked it on my Steam Deck the other day, and I'm waiting for it to get a couple of patches, because apparently they didn't really support it there for launch, but they plan to. It's mostly UI stuff. They're the text is tiny. But this is the kind of game that should have a demo on PlayStation, so people can be like, all right, I love the characters, I love the setting, I love the world. How does it actually play? And then have that revelation that Max had, or maybe have that moment Akeem had where they're like, yeah, this doesn't click with me.
I think that is my biggest gripe is the text is so tiny the whole time you're playing through it.
Yeah, I feel like we've been complaining about this since the first Dead Rising game. Why is there still tiny text in games?
I don't get it. They'll
make
bring
the words big.
They'll bring this sidebar over. They'll have this box that takes up 10%, 20% of it, and then they'll have the tiniest text, and the rest of it is just blurred. The other 90% is just blurred.
None of our eyes are getting better.
Why?
Right? They're all getting.
Mine are. I don't know about you. I got 10/10 vision.
Oh man, that's two IGN scores. Game of the year, movie of the year.